Okay, so in this video, I want to talk about the battery that I'm using to power the Blackmagic Pocket 6K. And I'm also using it to supply power at the same time to the Portkeys monitor. So it gives you a lot of power for the money that you're going to pay for it. So it's relatively budget friendly, $36. You purchase them off of Amazon. There's a link for it in the description box. And before I go any further, let me just say that the Epidemic Sound is just a decal. This is a Polar Pro decal. Those two companies are in no way affiliated with this product. I just happen to have those decals on here. I like to have them on there when I'm shooting. People can kind of, see the Epidemic Sound decal, and that is the music service that I use. So in the later part of the video, I'm going to show how I made this mounting bracket. This does not come with the battery. This is something you're going to put on separately. If you have a clamp and you want to clamp it, to your rig, everybody's rig is different and it's personal to them. So I wanted to go with a rail system and mount it on a rail. So I have these small rig carbon fiber rails, and I put the cheese plate, put this on. I'm going to show in a few minutes how I did that. It's relatively simple, as you can see, but for those who might not be technically inclined, I'll show exactly how I did that. So let's talk about the battery first, or power bank, power supply, whatever you want to call it. So it comes with a very generic, let's see if I can focus on this. It comes with a very generic on and off switch. I labeled it myself, a little bit of gaffer's tape, put that on there. I just wanted to be able to know whether it's on or off from any angle I look at it. And more so, if I'm working with any assistants who might not be familiar with the battery, we can know whether it's on or off. Because if you're shooting with the Blackmagic Pocket 6K and you have the internal battery in the camera, if you don't have this on, you could be working off the internal battery, which, as we know, only lasts about 20 minutes. So we have the 12 volt port right here. It's a barrel port with a barrel and pin, and then you have the 5 volt USB over here. So it's pretty tough. I've banged them around. I have two of these, so a lot of times the one that is not on the camera, I will often use as a power bank to charge my phone, charge the Osmo Pocket. I'm shooting this video with the Osmo Pocket right now. Osmo Action, I've used it to charge all kind of stuff, and it'll go all day. It will literally go all day. Now, it has a power meter. I don't know if the camera can pick up the power meter right here, but there is 5 LEDs right there, and it's not that accurate. The power meter is, when it's fully charged, it'll be all the way over there. But as it gets down, when it gets down somewhere around the second one, when you only have 2, that's when it will actually shut off. I've never actually had mine, the units that I have, go all the way down to here or anything like that. So it's relatively tough. Like I said, I've banged it around a lot. I took it to Thailand with me for 30 days. I throw them in my camera bag, and I'm kind of a rough and tumble guy. I have dropped the first unit that I have. I've dropped it on the floor a couple times, and it didn't seem to hurt it. I like it. Works for me. I've never had it fail. I'm not going to say that this is a full review of this product. As far as runtime with the camera, I can tell you that I have, with just the camera, without the monitor, turned the camera on, turned the screen on the brightest setting. Again, this is Blackmagic Pocket 6K. And not hit the record button, but just turned the camera on, left it sitting there, came back 3 hours later, and this thing still had, it was still on the third light, still had plenty of power. So I said, if I can get 3 hours out of it, I'm not going to go ahead and, see how far it goes till it kills it. 3 hours is good for me. With the monitor, it shortens it down. I've gotten easily 2.5, 2 hours and 15 minutes with the monitor on, and I keep my monitor set at the middle bright setting or the high bright setting. So I'm drawing quite a bit of power, and that monitor has fans in it. So power wise, it works great. Now, I know some people have a need for the big V mounts, like the really big V mounts. If you have a need for that, then that's what you want to go with. But if you want something that's budget friendly, and you're not trying to impress anybody with a V mount with a certain kind of label, logo, or something like that, then by all means, this thing might be for you. It works for me. So let's get right into the other part of this video, and that is how I made this, put this cheese plate on here, how I accomplished that. So I have the other unit over here, and all that holds the unit together there's 6 screws. Now I've taken the liberty of loosening those screws right now. They're just kind of sitting in there, and see if we can get them to. Okay, so we got all 6 of them. So you got 6 little screws like this. And once you have those out, you're essentially just going to kind of gently pull it apart. Now it's not going to come all the way apart because you got some wires attached up here to this switch. And you just kind of see if I can do this without messing things up. It's hard to do this when you're trying to record video at the same time, because normally I would just stand right over top of it. So this is what you're going to have. On the inside, you're going to have the cells and then your little board with your switch and your 2 ports. You want to be delicate with it. Don't bang stuff around. This appears to be glued probably with double-sided tape or something. This is glued pretty good to that cover. So all I wanted to do was make sure that these, what I wanted to do was make sure that these weren't lined up with this part. I wanted them to be lined up with this part here, so that they kind of sit over this little valley and they're not on the hump right here. Just requires a little bit of measurement, and as you can see, here are my let me get this out of the way because it's making a reflection. Here are my measure marks here on the side. It's where I measured where I wanted. So you can kind of see where I wanted the valley over to here. And then it's just as simple as drilling the holes through, putting some small rig screws in. I believe the screws came with the cheese plate, and using the proper Allen key. And I even got, I'll put a link to the Allen keys that I use. Actually, that's the wrong one. Of course, the Allen key's got lint on it. But using an Allen key, just tighten them down. They don't have to be super tight. And the only hard part about it really was putting it back together. And that is just lining up. There's some little grooves there. I don't know if you can see. This was a tedious little part to the assembly of it. You kind of gotta, and I don't know if I can do it on camera here because it will take you a few tries. Oh, here's the culprit right here. This guy's not in his groove back here. There we go. So once you get him in his groove, make sure the USB port is in its grooves, and you're good to go. You're going to be back together and drop your 6 screws in. tighten it all back up, and you're good to go. So in conclusion, I can say that I really like this setup. It's nice and solid. I have a link to the cheese plate. I have a link to the rail mount that I'm using. And you can also use, if you have other rail mounts, it doesn't have to be this rail mount. I have this style here, which is an even simpler one. With my rail mount, I wanted to make sure it was pretty secure for the mount mounted to the plate. And I went with a large screw and a small screw, only because the cheese plate allowed me to do that. And this way I know it's clamped on there nice and tight. Using regular flathead screwdriver, I can change that out really quick. It's not a problem. So hey, if this works for you, go ahead and check it out. Link for it down below, link for the cheese plate, even the carbon fiber rods. I'll even put a link for the Allen keys, all that stuff. All you need to do is have a drill to drill your holes, and you're good to go. It's very simple mounting, but very solid mounting once it's all back together. And the whole project of mounting this probably took me about 15 minutes to, at the most, to do this. So hey, if you like this video, hit like, hit subscribe, come back. I'm harmless, and we'll talk more about camera gear that I use, that I bought and paid for with my own money. Thank you, and have a great day.